The 2016-2017 season is right around the corner for the women's ACHA hockey teams. But before the season gets started, we're bringing you the second ever preseason show where we will highlight all the exciting things to come.
Backhand shot. She just sent that one wide. Power play coming. Another big hit in the corner. Pass in front, scores.
Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the second annual Women's ACHA Hockey Preseason Show. I'm your host, Monica McKenzie, and joining me at the desk are Patrick Strawn and Joe Mixie, and later on we'll be hearing from our reporters, Brent McGibbon and Brianne Boswell. Well, let's just jump right into how things are going so far. And last season we saw a lot of interesting things. Miami, Ohio coming out on top, winning that championship title. Pat, tell me a little bit. They won their second championship title in just 3 seasons. So tell me what you saw from them.
Yeah, definitely a strong team coming from Miami, Ohio. The Redhawks did an excellent job up at Nationals. They had to rebound after not winning their own pool against Adrian Bulldogs, who upsetted them. And then they really came out and looked on fire. As you see right there, they're going against Grand Valley, a rematch of their own conference championship team. Grand Valley won in triple overtime, and Miami, Ohio was hoping to right the ship in this one, especially having to come back twice being down by a goal against the Lakers, but they were able to do it in commanding fashion with being such a seasoned team and be able to pull off the victory in overtime.
And Joe, do you see any obstacles for them heading into this season? I mean, do they need to change anything or just keep coasting with what they did last season and hope it works out for them again this year?
Well, for Miami of Ohio, they're really not losing too many people. Head coach Scott Hicks told us that the prep for this season really isn't any different than it had been before in these successful years. For Miami of Ohio, they have 4 returning starters that are really giving a lot of damage to them in Kaylee Mooney, Rachel Booth, Katie Augustine, and their goalkeeper Emily Wills. The only thing that might hinder them a little bit is their schedule. They have some tough road matchups ahead against Lindenwood, Belleville on the road, Grand Valley State, and they come here to the LaHaye Ice Center.
Well, thanks, guys. Now we're going to send it over to our reporter, Brianne Boswell.
Last week, I caught up with Rachel Booth, who was a large contributor to Miami University's national championship. Here's what she had to say. Congratulations on your national championship. You had several key assists in that game, so take me back to the moment that you won.
Thank you. It was definitely awesome, a feeling that I will never forget. I think the second time around was a lot better than the first. Coming in as a freshman, I didn't know what to expect, and we kind of had a really great season throughout the whole season. So then my junior year, winning that national championship, I felt like it was a lot harder and a lot more inspirational and just a lot better, just because we had ups and downs during the season, and that's what made it so special. And that overtime goal, it just was something I'll never be able to forget. It was awesome.
So there's always been a rivalry when it comes to going up against Liberty. So what are some expectations that come with going up against the Flames?
Well, this year I think it's going to be a great rival, just like it is every year. It's definitely something that I know my teammates and I look forward to playing against them. It's one of the most fun games, but it's one of the most frustrating because they are our biggest competition. And I think going into it, I know it's going to be a really tough game, and we just have to go into it knowing that they're going to come out ready to play and ready to beat us, since we took that from them.
How does Miami plan to stay on top this season?
Well, that's definitely something very hard. It's very hard to win a national title, let alone defending it is so much harder. And I think that just planning on staying on top of it by every single practice, giving it all, never giving days off, showing up to workouts, always keeping that trophy in our hindsight or in front of us, knowing that that's what we're playing for. And not letting simple games that we might win 5-0 or we might win a lot. Don't take those as a joke and don't make bad habits, but always treating every game like it's the national championship game, and always working to get better and staying focused throughout the whole season, no matter what game it is.
Hockey is obviously a large part of your family. Your brother, David Booth, currently plays in the NHL. So have you trained with him in the past, and what did growing up with him look like?
I definitely have trained with him in the past. Actually, a lot of times when he was home in the summer, We would go to the track. We would go, we have a lake house. We would go to the beach. So we would do a lot of sand workouts, a lot of jumping and plyometrics, which is really hard. We would shoot pucks in the driveway. He was always my biggest role model, always willing to help me. Sometimes he would come and skate with my team and just willing to give us direction. I don't get to skate with him as much anymore just because he has a family now, but definitely growing up, he was always, even when I was 10 years old, he'd be like, don't eat those fries, you know, you should be eating lettuce and salads, and very always looking out for me. And I definitely trained with him, and it was some of the hardest workouts I've ever done for sure.
Thanks, Rachel. Best of luck to you this season. Monica, back to you.
Thanks, Brianne. Well, earlier this week, I had the opportunity to sit down with some Liberty University veterans about their experience playing the sport, as well as some insight on their preseason preparation. Joining me today are 3 players from the Liberty Women's D1 hockey team. Thanks for being here, girls. So, obviously, as veterans now on the Liberty D1's hockey team, try to think back to when you first got into hockey. I don't really know how long ago that was, probably quite a while ago. When you first started, can you tell me where your family supportive? Were they at all hesitant when you first said, Mom, Dad, I want to strap on the skates and start playing hockey?
I know for me personally, I honestly don't really remember because I was about 4 when I started playing, but Mom and Dad were super supportive the whole career, whether it be driving us me and my brother to every end of the earth to play games or go to practices. They always were super encouraging and willing to go that extra mile to make sure that we were playing the sport that we loved throughout childhood, growing up, and for me now continuing on here at Liberty.
And Kat, when you first made the decision to come play here at Liberty, what did your family say? Were they encouraging about that?
My mom has been the primary caregiver in my home my entire life, and she's definitely been my number one influence. She's been in hockey since she was as young as we were, and as soon as she found out that I wanted to play the game, she brought me to the rink that day and said, okay, let's go. So I didn't really my mom's been very supportive of me.
Now, switching gears and talking about your season specifically, 2 years ago you got that national championship title. Tell me a little bit about how you're preparing now and kind of your thoughts and outlook for the season.
I think we do have high expectations for this year. We have the most amount of freshmen that we've ever had in Liberty women's hockey, and each freshman has an enormous amount of depth. Not one of them is weak, and they all are very well-rounded players. They're good at every aspect of the game from what we've witnessed so far.
And last season, I think you had a very small bench. Now you've almost doubled your size. So what is that going to do, helping you guys out with fatigue and things like that?
It's definitely give us way more depth in our charts and stuff, and have the flexibility to play around with different line combinations. And you know, if we're able to get a big lead, or we can have the opportunity to maybe sit back and rest our top 3 lines, which will in turn help us when we go to nationals and we have that grind within a 5-day period. Come that last day, we're still going to be firing if we have the opportunity to play more bodies.
And with so many freshmen on the team, as you mentioned earlier, as veterans, how do you kind of rally and get everybody on the same page as your season's starting? And there's just so many people with so many different personalities and styles of hockey. How do you get everybody on the same page and playing with the same game plan?
Obviously practice. Practice does a lot for us. The girls are they pick up our systems very, very quickly.
She's got some space.
A lot of our systems are systems that we've played in the past with other hockey teams, so it's easy for us to pick up and kind of bring everybody back together as a team.
Now, your expectations for the season, obviously starting out, you want to think positive. So how do you accomplish the goal of getting a national championship again this year?
I think we just got to go into it day by day. Just work on the little things, get everyone gelling right off the bat here. Just don't take any game lightly. There's always things that we need to be improving on. And for all 3 of us here, me and Kat, we're going into our 5th year, and we've had a lot of experience come down to nationals. We've had top 4 finishes every single year. So I think just leaning on that experience and sharing those experiences with the freshman class will help get them in the same direction that we're headed as well, and hopefully that'll bring us home another championship at the end of the day.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Coming up, we'll hear from Commissioner Molly Mahoney as well as reveal the preseason rankings. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Josiah Barty.
Here.
William Byron. Is William here?
Hi, I'm William Byron, driver of the number 9 Liberty University truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Racing in the Camping World Truck Series doesn't leave a lot of extra time in my schedule, but I didn't want to put the brakes on my education. That's why, when I'm not on Liberty's campus, I continue my studies through their online program. While in the shop with Kyle and the team, I'm able to maintain a busy race schedule and continue pursuing my degree. Keep your education on track. Check out Liberty University online and on campus.
Hey, this is Karen Kingsbury, and I want to share why I love Liberty University Online Academy. I believe in LUOA because I've seen the difference it's made in my nephew's life. The accredited Bible-based curriculum challenges him both academically and spiritually, while the flexible structure provides my sister with everything she needs to be an amazing mom and teacher. I couldn't think of a better program to prepare young people for college.
Welcome back. Now standing by with ACHA Women's Commissioner Molly Mahoney is Rhett McGibbon.
Thank you, Monica. Joining me now is the Commissioner of the Women's Division I level at the ACHA, Molly Mahoney. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You graduated in 2009. It hasn't been that long since you haven't been a player. What's it like now being the commissioner? Your first year is over. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience. I came on later on in the season, kind of late in the game and kind of had to hit the ground running. So it's been quite an experience. Lots of learning going on, and hopefully we'll be able to make it better as the next season approaches.
Yeah, kind of give us a little bit more on that. What's your vision for the ACHA? Obviously this past year, probably just getting your feet wet, but what do you hope to accomplish over the next few years?
Yeah, I would definitely like to see our numbers grow at the Division I level. We've got a really good base at Division II, and we're even talking about starting in Division III level 2. So seeing some of those teams that have solid grounds built and moving on into the Division I programs.
Women's hockey obviously is growing at a rapid pace. Have you seen like the Canadian Women's Hockey League help out at all, just that there's an opportunity for women now to move on and play professionally? Has that helped your numbers in the ACHA?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's now an additional level of women's hockey, whether it be the Canadian Women's Hockey League or even the national, the NWHL as well. You know, our girls that get to play in the ACHA have an opportunity to move on past college. And I think that's definitely helping.
Everybody now is going to Columbus this season. It's going to be the hot spot for all the ACHA. How is that going to improve the women's product, and what does Ohio bring to the table that other cities didn't?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Columbus to see what they have to offer. We are actually going to be at the Easton Chiller Rink, which for those of you who love shopping is right by their big mall. So lots of our players, I'm sure, will enjoy that. But you're right, Columbus has become this hotbed of hockey, and it'll be very cool to have all of us kind of in one area. It'll be great for schools that have multiple teams, like Liberty, that's got men's and women's division teams. You know, one day they can go watch the women play, and the very next day they can even go watch the men play. So I think that's a good opportunity to incorporate all of our divisions and get to see the full realm of ACHA hockey and all it has to offer.
Do you think it would be kind of used as a recruiting tool just for ACHA in general?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a really good way to get the word out about our women's programs and even individually for the different schools. You know, it's funny, I work at Notre Dame, and a few weeks ago we had a tri-hockey event, and we had the Notre Dame women's hockey players out on the ice with us. And we had parents come up to us that said, you know, I didn't even know that Notre Dame had a women's hockey team. So having this at an area where all of our different divisions will be here, we'll get the word out that different schools have programs to offer.
It wasn't too long ago that you were starting off the program at Grand Valley State. Did you ever expect that just a short little time down the road you'd be the commissioner of a whole entire league?
No, I had no idea. It's been great. It definitely has been a change of pace. When I was at Grand Valley, I was the club president and kind of the founder and worked on getting that team started. So starting from the grassroots areas is kind of something I enjoy doing, and the organizational piece and detail-oriented is something that I love, and I never imagined that I'd be at this position, but it's been great, and I can't wait to see what we have in store for the future.
Well, Molly, from our vantage point, it looks like you're doing a fantastic job. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Monica, back to you.
Well, now it's the time we've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at the preseason rankings for the 2016-2017 season. Coming in number 1, we have Miami of Ohio. Number 2, Liberty University. Number 3, Grand Valley State. And then you can see the rest listed there. Coming in 10th place is Colorado. So, guys, looking at this list, are there any teams that surprise you there, Pat?
For me, not at all. I mean, the top 4 are the same top 4 teams that have made the Final Four the last couple of seasons. So actually, I think the ranking committee got it right. I like what I see. Miami should be number 1. They're the defending national champs. And Liberty is the team I think that's going to be between them and winning their 2nd consecutive title.
Joe, any surprises that you see there?
Not too much. You take a look at more of the bottom of the lineup. You don't see Davenport in the top 10. That could be a surprise, could be contested. Michigan's in there at number 9, and they were in the tournament last year, so they could have been a little bit higher. But the top 4, you really have those teams that have been out there competing the last few years, so really no surprise there.
Well, it's interesting because in the past few seasons, it's always been Miami and Liberty right up there in top 1 and 2 places. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they battle it out this season. Now, looking at the list, are there any teams that aren't on there or maybe are in the lower places that could use the ranking as a way to motivate them to play better? Joe?
Like I said, Michigan is definitely one. URI there at number 7. That could be another one as well. Both of those teams have kind of been back and forth the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, the Rhode Island Rams came to the LaHaye Ice Center and took down Liberty in overtime, and that was a dynamic win for them. They could kind of use the lower ranking to try to come in there and kind of be sort of a dark horse for them.
Pat, do you have anything to comment there?
Yeah, I think actually that I wouldn't be surprised if you see both teams from Michigan move their way up to the rankings. Michigan, they are going under their new head coach, and I think that will be huge for motivation. But also Michigan State, that's a team that won in 2011. They were one of the kings, or should I say queens, of the ACHA for women's hockey. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make their way back into the national tournament picture.
All right, well, Joe, let's get a little bit more specific here. Forget about the rankings, and in your own opinion, what are your top 4 teams to watch?
All right, well, my top 4, 3 are in the top 4 currently, but I did have one little mix-up. Number 4, Lindenwood Bellevue. I got to talk to their coach. They have a young team. They made their first bid to the ACHA tournament last year, and they should have another successful year. Number 3 is Adrian. They spent a majority of the past year at number 2 in the top rankings. Number 2 is Liberty, and then number 1 is the defending champion, Miami of Ohio. No surprise there. Miami definitely deserves to start off on top, but Liberty is right behind them. They're returning a lot of girls on their squad, and they definitely have the firepower to go 1-2 punch with Miami once again, as they have been the last couple of seasons.
All right, Pat, your top 4?
Well, I think my top 4 is similar to Joe's. I think Joe actually copied my list or something. But yeah, I mean, my top 4 are very similar to him. As I said, I like Miami, Ohio at the top spot. They're the defending champs, so they're going to be number 1 until someone knocks them off. And I think, as not only as I said earlier, but I think a lot of coaches believe Liberty is the team that is going to be between those two in the championship. They'll be in separate pools, battling it out. And then I like what I saw in UMass. I know they didn't have the depth last year, but I expect that to change this upcoming season. Coach Wright said they have a huge recruiting class, and they have the player of the year in Lindsay. I think she brings a dynamic playmaking to that team. And finally, rounding it off is Grand Valley. The Lakers, getting to the national championship and finishing second, they got some unfinished business to finish at the national title, and I think they're going to make their way back to the Final Four for a 3rd year in a row.
So it seems like you actually kind of agree with the rankings, which doesn't always happen on the show, but this season it worked out that way. Now it's easy to predict who's going to be on top after looking at how things went last season, but can you guys tell me now maybe your dark horse teams or teams people could look at and maybe expect to make a push for playoffs that wouldn't normally be making that push?
Well, for me, it's the University of Massachusetts sitting at there at number 6. I think that's it could be a little low for them. You have all these teams that are competing at the top, so it's tough to kind of stick them in there. But like you said, Pat, they have Brittany Lanzilli. She's the reigning MVP. They only lost 3 seniors, and they were very dynamic last year. They put up a good fight against some of these top teams. I think they could really make a statement this year at the top of the ACHA.
All right, well, I'm not listening to Joe. My dark horse team is someone different. It's a team who made it all the way to the national championship for their second year in a row. The Lindenwood Belleville team, I think that team is going to be the dark horse team. That's a team that everyone needs to watch out for. Kat Hanna, Coach of the Year, only second-year program, getting that team to the national tournament and turning some heads while they were during pool play. I expect them potentially make their way not to a Final Four, but you could see them in the championship game.
All right, well, thanks, guys. It'll be interesting to see how things pan out this season. Coming up, we interview Coach of the Year, Kat Hanna, on how her team did, as well as give you the votes on our players to watch.
Double meat and cheese, classic. Grilled onions and Thousand Island, classic. Plus fries and a drink, all for just $4.99, really classic. The Hardee's Classic Double Cheeseburger Combo for just $4.99. Each biscuit is like a unique snowflake. A unique steak, egg, and cheese-filled snowflake. The steak, egg, and cheese biscuit or burrito, only at Hardee's.
If you're the band Europe, you love a final countdown. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
Welcome back to the LFSN Women's Preseason Hockey Show. Thanks so much for sticking with us so far. Earlier this week, I caught up with ACHA Coach of the Year, Kat Hanna. Now talking here via Skype with the head coach of Lindenwood Bellevue, Kat Hanna. Now, Kat, how does your time as an athlete at Lindenwood on the ice help you to really carry that experience over to the players coaching at Lindenwood Bellevue now?
As far as a player, I think one of the main things is just, I know the ACHA. I know the level, what it takes to be successful at that level, both on and off the ice. But I also know, what I needed from my coach and what the support I had when I was at Lindenwood, as a player, has definitely come full circle and has been extremely beneficial on the back end of this for me as a coach.
Now, looking at your roster going into the 2016-2017 season, at a glance, it looks like you guys have a fairly young team. What gives you confidence in your players this year going into the season?
A good portion of my team's been there for 2 years. They're settled in. They know what to expect from me. I know what to expect from them. Our mission and our goals are aligned, and it's really nice to see some girls kind of settle in those leadership roles.
When people look at your team, what do you think is going to stick out to them that's going to amaze them about this year's team compared to last year's team?
I think what they're going to see is a foundation that we're building. The first year is the first year. I have to make sure that the girls are responding to me and staying motivated and wanting to play for me as a coach and as a person. I think that's the biggest thing, is just keeping everybody on the same page and working at that every single day. I certainly expect the girls to, improve and get better and work really hard every day, but that also, I have to do that as well. I think that when people are going to look at us, they're going to see a little bit more depth and, just wanting. We're hungry, and that's not going anywhere. So I think that's going to be something they're going to really see, the culture of our team and who we are as Lindenwood.
Now, looking at your upcoming season, you've addressed some of the challenges. What do you think some of the biggest competition that you're going to face this year is in the ACHA?
University of Colorado, there's no secret. They came out and beat us 7-1 one game last year, and they do have a really good, strong team. They're a great opponent. And same with Minnesota. Minnesota is always a strong team that just kind of is very consistent and puts out a lot of effort every game they play, and they don't hand anything over. So those are, I'm a little bit more looking in my league in the WWCHL and highlighting those really competitive teams there. But also the top 4 or 5 teams are, I think, going to be the ones to really look at again. So the Grand Valleys, the Liberties, Miami of Ohio, and certainly Adrian. I think Adrian has a phenomenal team. They're fast, they're big, they're very well coached, and I look forward to those competitions every day.
Absolutely, a lot of competition this year in the ACHA.
Absolutely.
All right, Kat Hanna from Lindenwood Bellevue. Thank you very much for joining me, and best of luck to your season this year.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time.
Well, there's certainly a lot of talent in the league, and it's encouraging to see the professional post-college option start to expand for the girls playing in the ACHA. With that being said, we're going to give you our votes for top players to watch in the league this season. Joe, heading over to you first. Who are your 2 players to look out for this year?
All right, well, my 2 players to watch, the first one is not a surprise. It's right here in Liberty, Carrie Jickling. She's been a captain on this team for a number of years. She was All-American the last couple of years. She has really proven herself as a driving force in the ACHA. You see that, 23 games last year, 28 goals, 52 points. She's up there. She comes back once again, and she's done a great job. Look for her again this year. And then my second player to watch, Brittany Lanzilli for the University of Massachusetts. She won the Zoe Harris Award last year. That's the MVP in the ACHA. She led the league in scoring 49 goals and 19 assists. Look for her to really lead this UMass team forward. Monica, who are your players to watch?
All right, well, my first player is Rachel Booth. I know it's a little bit of an obvious choice coming from the championship team, but I mean, she's so good. She's the all-time leader for Miami, Ohio in goals, points, power play goals, and shorthanded goals in the entire history of the team. She was second team All-American the past 2 seasons and second team All-Tournament last year. She's won 2 championships with Miami, Ohio. She was a member of Team USA World University Games. Now she's a senior on the Miami team, and seniors on this team don't know what it's like to not play in a national championship game. So, you know, they're heading into championships this year. If they make it, they're expecting to win their 3rd title in 4 seasons. And they're arguably the winningest classes in ACHA history. My second player, she's Haley Winker from Lindenwood, Belleville. She is the team's lead scoring defenseman, and she's 5th on the team in points. She's one of the top 5 scoring defensemen in the entire country in the ACHA last season. She's only a sophomore, so there's definitely still a lot to see from her in the next 2 seasons with her on the team. Pat, your 2 players?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little off script because you 2 picked 2 of the easiest players, probably. Top 2 players in the league, and then most decorated player. Come on.
But they're good.
Yeah, they are good, but I'm not picking the household names. I'm picking someone different. I'm going with the Lakers, the big defenseman stud, their senior captain, Alexa Tenwalde. That girl is definitely someone that's been huge. Big primetime opportunities for her in their championship conference game against Miami. She assisted Tia Greca with the game-winning assist. Then to get them into the championship game at Nationals, she scores the game-winning goal in overtime against Adrian. This girl really knows how to perform when it comes crunch time, so gotta like what she does. Wears the C very well for the Lakers. My other player to watch is gotta be Jessie Rushing. This forward is a dynamic playmaker. She does an excellent job, as you see right there. 9 goals to go with 20 points. But the biggest thing for her is the play she makes off the puck. She is key at winning key faceoffs. She's good in the zone offensively. She's also good in the zone on the PK. Does an excellent job winning those key faceoffs to either kill off penalties or to keep the power play alive in their own zone. So gotta look for her to have another breakout year.
All right, well, I appreciate your originality, trying to get some new players that aren't necessarily household names. Now, going a little bit off script here, I haven't actually asked you to prepare this, but could you each give me your prediction for the championship this season?
I think, unfortunately, I'm going to go with, well, the easy pick. You got to say Liberty and also Miami, Ohio. It's hard not to say these 2 teams. The championship has come between those 2 when it comes to who's going to win the title in the game. Twice when Miami won, they knocked Liberty off in the Final Four in the semifinals, and when Liberty won, they won it in the championship. So I got to say it's going to be between those 2 once again, and I feel like a lot of the league feels the exact same way, so it's a matter of who's going to be able to knock one of them out.
Joe, your predictions?
It looks like Pat tried to take the easy way around this time. I'm going to go with Liberty, not because I'm being a homer, but because they're bringing 3 of their most important players back, and they have all that experience with Carrie Jickling and CJ Tipping leading the way there. I'm also going to put Lindenwood Belleville in there, and not just because I had a chance to talk to Kat Hanna, but they have a young team. And they're led by Haley Winker. They have the coach of the year. They're fired up. Kat Hanna had a great career in the ACHA playing for Lindenwood back in the day. She has the experience to lead this team to the national championship, and she could do that this year. There's a lot of tough teams, guys. You look at the top, 6 or 7 teams, you're going to put any of those teams in the national championship, but you got to pick one. I'm going to say Lindenwood Belleville, but it's early.
Well, I appreciate your predictions. We'll have to see how things pan out. It looks like it'll be another great year for ACHA women's hockey. Thanks for tuning in to our 2nd annual preseason show. Have a good night, and God bless.